What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. If you guys are new to the channel, do me a favor and hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content that we have coming out. And with our last video of the day, we are jumping into King Spawn, issue number 2. If you did not catch issue number 1, if you haven't caught Gunslinger Spawn, be sure to check out the links in my description as well as the top of this video. It's gonna get you completely caught up on everything that we have covered so far. And in the last issue, what we saw with King Spawn is someone is trying to get his attention. Someone is sending him a message. And that is through the massacre of children. Blowing up an entire school, we see a classroom of little kids just completely obliterated. And so now Al Simmons, he finds himself in a frantic search to find whoever is responsible, knowing that they will be striking again. It is only a matter of time before more children are to be sacrificed. Be sure to buy the comic, support the industry, and with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright gang, so as we dive into issue number 2, they are letting the readers know right off the bat who is responsible for all of these massacres. Who is the one trying to send a message to Spawn? That individual just so happens to be Billy Kincaid. Now Billy had been imprisoned. Spawn had tried to embarrass him, imprisoning his soul in the deep darkness. But that darkness, it changed him. It transformed him into something more, and to the master that these people are now following. But it also gave him an insight on what the Hellspawn could become, and what he has seen, he believes to be glorious. That's where we pick up with Al Simmons. He is currently trying to figure out what is the point of all of this. 6 children and Metatron, they are all dead, and it seems to be nothing more than dragging Spawn into the open, sitting at his desk for hours, going over everything that he could possibly think of. He has not found himself any bit closer to who this culprit might be. Losing his temper, smashing his fist down on the computer, he tells Mark to get to work and finding out as much information as he can, with Al walking outside just to get a little bit of air. As he sits here and ponders everything that has transpired, he's trying to really make sense of his life in general, because so much has changed. Like Jessica Priest, aka She-Spawn, she is someone that has always worked alone. It has always been better that way. But now they are working together. With Jessica making her way outside, she tries to let Al know that Mark is smarter than both of us, that if you were to give him that sigil that you found, maybe, just maybe, he can decrypt something more from it that we can go on. Give us some kind of clue on where we are going and who we are looking for. With Simmons transforming into Spawn, letting her know that that's not going to happen. That they figure out the computer puzzle or whatever it is. That the sigil belongs to him, and he will be the one to figure it out. And while many will find this intimidating, that is not the case for She-Spawn, because she knows more than anybody that if he didn't want them here, they would already be gone. He doesn't need the help of anybody, except in this moment. That is the reason that they are all here. That is the reason this Spawn is standing right before her. With his ego more or less being put into check, he agrees to have them look over the sigil. Meanwhile, in Arlington, Virginia, we have an old granny making her way home. As she comes home, she is looking for her grandson, usually greeting her at the door, helping her with groceries. This day, he is not there. And that is because he is upstairs with his girlfriend. They are currently in the middle of intercourse, and they have guns, they have armor completely surrounding them. And while they are in the middle of this act, this is where they hear the voice of Billy. Kincaid is letting them know that they are doing a fantastic job, with their quote-unquote prophet speaking to them in the midst of this. It only makes it more passionate for them. Not really knowing what they are up to, we can only imagine how sinister this is going to go. Now that's what takes us to Washington, D.C. and Spawn is currently perched atop a building, holding a gigantic rifle in his hand. He is waiting for something, because they searched the Book of Psalms. And the passages that they found, they had been originally songs that kind of bring up the spirit. Though those songs were very morbid. But what scares Spawn much more than that is the fact that that specific text is full of passages of things exactly like this, which means that it is almost inevitable for it to happen again. But this is also their roadmap on what happens next. And Mark finally gets a hit. That sigil, it gives him an encrypted location. With the crowds winding down and the day coming to an end, he tells everyone to take the night off, and he goes to meet up with Terry. Once upon a time, the two of them, they were very good friends, especially during their military time. But when Terry had married his wife after he died, things for them were never the same. But the only reason that Terry is here is because of his daughter, doing anything he can to protect her. That is the only reason that he even showed up today. And that's exactly why Terry came here to begin with. He is only here for her, but it's also because of the love that he had for Wanda. He wants to do everything he can to protect her daughter, and the more he thinks about it, the more he believes that Wanda's death, it was no accident, it was no freak occurrence, that it was a planned event. And so with Terry agreeing to help, we pick up the next day. We are brought to the Capitol building. At this point, nobody really knows what they are looking for. They just know that this day, it has some kind of special meaning. This location is very unique. Whatever breadcrumbs are being left behind, it led them directly to this place, saying that there would be an intruder who would be armed, young, which covers about half of the military wannabes parading around that day. Amidst the crowd, this is where we see young Tommy and his girlfriend. They have made their way here, and they are about ready to lay waste to many innocent lives. With Terry out here in the crowd helping him out, Terry is the first one to spot these kids. With red in their eyes, their weapons are loaded, and they are about ready to start unloading on the entire crowd. As the guns go off, this is where we see Spawn. And as Spawn stops these bullets, he can't help but think to himself, this is how dangerous things have gotten. This is how insane and warped everything currently is. Because while Spawn did save these kids, his goal wasn't to do so. His goal was to take down the two that were attacking. But it's much deeper than that. Because while he is always there to deliver the vengeance, today is a much different day. Because to save some kids, he is also going to have to kill kids himself. And as the girl goes to pull out her phone and use a detonator to explode herself, he did what he never thought he would ever have to do. He devoured that young girl, and then he ate her soul. As she begins to die, she says that the prophet said he would corrupt him. The prophet would make Spawn kill children, and that's exactly what just happened. The prophet was right. The prophet has won. Spawn has become just as corrupt as everything else he has sworn to defeat. Not really understanding what was going on, both of the children having helmets on. It wasn't until those helmets came off that he fully understood what was happening. In the mask, in the reflection, we see Kincaid, letting him know this Spawn always had it in him, that he could destroy innocent lives much better than anybody else. And because of these actions, they are going to be bringing a flood of servants from around the world to serve at the feet of Spawn. All of them wanting to be just like him, to have the strength and the courage to slaughter the baby lambs. Thanks to him, the king, for showing them the way. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I have thoroughly enjoyed everything going on with King Spawn, and especially this issue, because it really is the darkest and most twisted way to go about bringing out the worst in Spawn. Of course, these deaths were unintentional, but they were also something that was necessary. You could argue that he has the power to stop them without going to this extreme, without eating her soul, so on and so forth. but he also didn't know they were children. Opening fire with automatic weapons, having all of this armor, having grenades, having explosives, it's all seeming just a little too much. It wasn't until it was too late that he found out Kincaid had been manipulating the entire situation. But the way the world will look at this is Spawn killed 2 children, regardless of them having weapons, regardless of who they were intending to kill this day. But not only will the public see him as a monster, Al is going to begin to see himself as a monster. That he has become tainted, that he has become exactly like those he has sworn to destroy. Unlucky for Kincaid, Spawn now knows exactly where to direct all of this anger and all of this vengeance. So let me know your thoughts, let me know your theories. If you would like to donate to the channel, you can do so by hitting the super thanks button. It will let you donate any amount to the channel, and every little bit helps. If you can't do that, do me a favor and hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, like this video, and until the next breakdown.